Ladies and gentlemen, another Facebook Live. We are very fortunate today to have the lovely Heidi Kusama. All right. Too many things to mention. She's the manager of the Summerlin office for Berkshire Hathaway. She's also runs her own business out of there, and she has a property management business. And most recently, running for re-election. Okay. Now, what you are in? What district is it?
So I am in Assembly District 2. The easy way to think about it is if you take downtown Summerlin and draw a big circle around it. It kind of jogs here and there, but that's kind of a easy visual. Big circle around downtown Summerlin. That's the Assembly District 2, which I have served for 2 years now as the Assemblywoman. And I am running again for that illustrious position. So I would appreciate everybody's vote.
Whether you are Republican or Democrat, if you are in the real estate business or just basically in life in that district, okay, which I am, by the way, 89135, I am voting for Heidi Kusama. She has my vote, ladies and gentlemen. For a second time.
Appreciate that.
Yes. Even my, I'm going to say this live, even my wife, the Democrat, will be voting Heidi Kusama in the general election.
Well, I am fortunate because I've had multiple Democrats say that they have voted for me and will continue to, because I've worked with them for many years, and people that know me, I think, know that I really try to do what is best. I'm not crazy one way or another. I'm trying to do what is best and to have reasonable laws on our books and to regulate those.
And Nevada is an awesome state. It really is. I mean, if you think about all the goodies we have.
It's incredible. I'm from Washington State, and we were so pleasantly surprised when we moved here 20 years ago, Peter and I, that it was a conservative state. The taxes weren't high. They have no state income tax. Business taxes are low. That's what encourages people to move here with their businesses. We have no estate tax. We're one of the few states with no estate tax. We still always have on the federal level, but just a lot of great things. And after we moved here, we used to come down as CPAs. My husband and I were CPAs for 20 some years. And so we used to fly down, like a lot of people, to conferences on the Strip. And what do? You go to your conference and you go to a show or you gamble a little bit. And so that was what we knew of Las Vegas. Now we're all in real estate. That's on this program. And it is such a great thing to learn and be able to speak to people that we have so much more than that. And of course, many people are discovering it. When we first moved here, there was about 900,000 some people. And now we're about 2.3 million in the greater Las Vegas Valley. So I've watched that growth from when I came here. But now I can explain to people, and this is a great thing with real estate. I always tell people that when you go to New York, everybody doesn't live in Times Square.
Right.
And so
I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah. And so they live in New Jersey or the suburbs or on Long Island. And we are the same. Our strip, we have our strip that has all of the activity there. But we have beautiful communities in Henderson and Summerlin, and it's amazing. We have biking trails, hiking trails. I was so pleasantly surprised when I moved here. I've been skiing up in Mount Charleston. I have been sailing on Lake Mead. I have gone on the hikes in the Red Rock Canyons. I've been to the Valley of Fire. We are an incredible state, like you said. And just with our natural beauty, all of those pluses that we have, which are 30 to 40 minutes from our home here in Las Vegas. And so it is a delight to be able to share that with people in real estate and explain to them the benefits we have. And then once you get people out and they see the areas and suburbs, I'm like, we're like any other city. We have churches, schools, businesses. It's just the same. Our entertainment, we go down for our anniversary or birthdays on the Strip, but otherwise we're not there all the time, just like people don't go down to Manhattan all the time either. And so it's a great way to help people understand. And so I love to share those analogies when I'm doing real estate as well.
Well, you definitely, no wonder you run for here and run here. You sound very passionate about this state. And I'm fortunate because I came from New Hampshire. Everything you just mentioned as far as state income tax, all that stuff is the same. We have no state sales tax either there. So when I came here and, you're not paying any, because you're a real estate agent, you're an independent contractor. I love that Nevada makes you get a business license because it reminds you, You're a business. Act like one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
In Washington State, where I came from, the real estate property transfer tax was probably about 3 times what it is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we also were taxed on our real estate business income. So we had to fill out a state tax return. They didn't have state income tax, but it was their business tax, and we were taxed on our gross commission incomes, and I had to pay that and file that every year. So people get, crazy about, some of our taxes. I'm like, you really have no idea what some other people are paying in some of the other states. And so, we're just incredibly fortunate for this state. And that's one of the reasons I stepped up to run, because I am pretty passionate about real estate, and there seemed to be a lack of people in the legislature that kind of understood real estate, what we have, what are the good things, what we want to keep. We want to keep taxes off of our commission, and that just gets passed on to the homeowner. People are talking about affordable housing. Well, all those costs just get tacked on to the house and the price every time you sell it. And so, we have to be very watchful of a lot of those things, because some of those things don't go together, even though people think they do. So.
And that probably, because I know you're very passionate about, our local board, LVR. I know you're passionate at the state level. You've been president of both, right? So was that the segue into your political career?
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought I'd be involved in politics ever, because we all know that's a crazy world. And when I sit there and talk about it, I'm like, those people in the government need to do something. I'm like, oh, I'm one of them now. But I still have those talks, because it is a slow ship to move things. That's the most frustrating thing once you get involved with it. But certainly, when I served as president for Las Vegas Realtors and then for the state, I was on the legislative committee. And so what we did was that committee was tasked with reviewing every bill that was presented at the legislature, to read them and see if it would affect our real estate industry. And then if we thought it would affect our real estate, it was streamlined to the bills that could potentially affect us. Then we looked at all of those and decided if it would harm us. And if we thought it would harm us, then we engaged our lobbying firm, Carrera Nevada. We engaged them to fight for us, to keep taxes off of commissions, to any of the other areas dealing with real estate. And so, so that was a big responsibility. And I remember, I think during one meeting, I said something like, this is nuts, the type of stuff they're trying to pass. And then somebody said, well, you should run. And, and I had a couple other people mentioning that, because they said, we need a voice up there that understands real estate and understands business. And so that was part of the start was serving in leadership on the local and state level and being involved with the legislative committees, because you really got a taste for what goes through. In the assembly, we have 42 members in the assembly, 21 in the state senate, and we have probably about 1,200 bills that are presented for a 4-month period. It's complete insanity to try and read all those and keep up on that. You only pass, we had about, like I said, close to 1,200 bills. We only passed just under 600, 578, something like that. But
that's still a decent amount.
But all the work that goes into that, and it's too many. We don't need that many bills. We don't need that much regulation. And it happens every session. And so it is interesting. And then we have to do bills the next session to fix some of the bad bills we had the session before.
Bad bills.
It's a crazy world.
I can imagine, because you got, and I'm not being political here, but you got the Democrats who want more regulation government. Then you get the Republicans who want no government. So then you got to meet somewhere in the middle, right?
It's always a balance. We all have to pay our taxes so we have safe roads to drive on.
Right.
We all understand that. We all need that. It's like you said, it's a balance and it's a level. Yeah. And I work very hard across the aisle. I work very well with all my colleagues from all parties, which is one of my goals, because we don't see enough of that. And so I try to work with everybody so that we have good regulation. We can work together on things that are balanced, that can serve all people. So that's a big goal of mine.
Right. And like Nevada being a unique state, it's also pretty much 50-50 Democrat and Republican too, isn't it?
No, it is not.
Really?
So we are the only state so far. We have more registered independents than either party. We're the first state to have more registered independent. It's very close, but it is almost equal: a third independents, a third Democrat, and a third Republican.
That is interesting. Yeah, that's very unique, isn't it?
Yeah, which I think is that's all fine. That means you have to work with everybody, and that's how it should be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you get the people that'll side with whoever is, doing what they want, being the independent. So that's why it comes across like I think last year was like 49-51% or something crazy when it came to the election.
Well, and a lot of people have left either party because I think they're really upset with how polarizing either party has become, and
Yeah, true.
I think that speaks to the general population what they're looking for, and I think we need to hear that and understand that.
Yeah. So okay, so you're doing all this good stuff with LVR, which by the way, I want to go on record as saying I like the old name better, Gelvar. Sounded like a
Me too.
supervillain. You know
Me
what I
too.
mean?
Yeah, Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors. I agree. I'm not quite sure.
That's such a cool name, Gelvar.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to come out with a new, what do you call that? Anyway, movie called Galvar. It's like sounds like a super villain, but I love it. So, but now LVR. But so you've done a lot of work in there. You've done a lot of work at the state level. Then you look at politics. I've always been wanted to ask you this question, by the way. You look at politics, and you're thinking one thing, and then you get elected, and you go up there for what you just mentioned about all the bills. What's something that took you by surprise that you weren't expecting that you learned while you were up there in Carson City?
Great question, and I can tell you it is amazing to me what I'm going to share. So when you go up there and let's say you have a bill and you come up and you're all excited, you're a freshman, you have bills and you want to present them. So the bills, they get read on the floor, and once they're read on the floor, you have to get them read there. Then it gets assigned to a committee. Now your bill goes to a committee. You have to have it heard in the committee, and you have to have it voted on in the committee. And then it goes back to the floor to a vote if you get through all of that. What the people that really have the power are the committee chairs. Because I was on Judiciary, Revenue, and Commerce and Labor. If they don't like you, they don't have to hear your bill.
Wow.
Period. There's no appeal. There's no talking to somebody else. There's like, oh, Rick, actually, this is a great bill. Could you please hear my bill? Yeah, no, you're a Republican. I'm not going to hear your bill. What? No, this is a nonpartisan bill. This has nothing to do with politics. This is just, we want more rain in the state of Nevada. That's all it is. It's a nonpartisan bill. They do not have to hear it. They have absolute power. Each committee chair has absolute power. So you have everybody working on these bills. Remember I said how many? Let's say 1,200. Yeah. Many of them never see the light of day, never get a hearing. They might not like you. They might not like your party affiliation. They might not like your idea. Some of the parties within their own party will steal your idea, and then they want to present the bill because it's a good bill. And then they don't.
They want credit for it.
Yeah. So it's that was, I think, the most shocking to me, that how much power the committee chairs have, and it won't get through. It will not get through if they don't like you. So all the more reason. So you can be a person that does lots of tweeting and Facebook and rah about this and that, but you don't get anything done.
Right.
You get absolutely nothing done for your state and your constituents. So if you want to get something done, I tell people it's like real estate. We negotiate between a seller and a buyer constantly to get a deal done. We negotiate between the seller and buyer on the purchase price. We negotiate between the seller and buyer on the appraisal. We negotiate between the seller and buyer on the inspections. Well, that's what it's like up there if you want to get something done. If you just want to be a soundbite and just rah on your one, what do you call it, grandstanding on the one thing. But if you want to get something done, you have to negotiate. You have to work together, and that's what we should be doing for. Right. The great state of Nevada is we should be looking at these bills and getting them together. And I was another thing I learned is you want to get co-sponsors from the other party, otherwise you'll never get it through.
Oh, but, yeah, great idea.
Yeah, so that helps to get it heard in a committee. But I was one of the few freshmen, I think, that not knowing, I just had only my name on the bill, and I was a freshman in the minority party, and I did get a bill passed the first time. But that was working really hard with everybody, sitting down, having meetings, and that's what you need to do. And it was a bill that was important to our real estate industry. It was for recording documents at the recorder's office. It had to do with electronic signatures. And so that was important. The title people wanted that. The real estate industry wanted that. So I had to really, I almost didn't get it passed. And think about that. That is a completely nonpartisan bill.
Right.
But all that bill was improving the process for recording documents at the recorder's office, which is huge for real estate and title. And so I had to work really, really hard to get that done and have people listen to me. And I got it done. So it makes it easier for us. But so that was my my save for the real estate industry.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, like, is it me because now I'm starting to pay attention? Or you mentioned polarizing. It seems like it has never been this bad as far as polarizing and how little they get done in Washington because of that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's awful what I see, but I was looking back on some things like even, in the 1800s, I mean, the smear campaigns in the newspapers, I'm like, oh my goodness, they were doing that then. We haven't improved. And so, I think, unfortunately, I just think it's part of politics, unfortunately. But I do think, I think we're getting less done than ever. I do think that. I think there's always been the polarization, but I think the amount of stuff that we're getting done, I think some of that was more maybe newspaper headlines again, but when they got to Washington, D.C., they got some work done. But it just seems like it's constantly gridlocked there, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and
we don't want that on a state level. We've all got to work together. Yeah.
No, and it seems like, when you're doing so many executive orders, when you could be taking them through this, the House and the Senate, it would make more, the Congress and the Senate, it seems like it would make more sense because then as soon as somebody else comes in, they can reverse all that too. So it's like no one's going through the process anymore.
That was my exact argument regarding a real estate bill that we had last session that I did not think was good for the real estate industry. So I argued against it with the person that was bringing that bill forward. The bill did still pass. It was not one that was great for us. But I did go in and speak to him. I said, can you amend these certain sections? At least, I didn't like the bill at all, but can you at least amend certain of these? And we got that amended. And it should have been more. But when my argument with the person was, you understand that the different parties come into power on different times. It ebbs and flows. That's just how it works. Ebbs and flows. And I said, if your bill is so slanted one way, when the next party comes in, they will just undo it.
Right.
And so why don't we work together and pass a bill that stands the test of time? And then we have something that is good for everybody that we can have that will last. And so that was certainly one of my arguments. And I got some changes made that made it a little bit better. It had to do with the eviction moratoriums during COVID. So,
which were a little crazy, let's face it.
We all know about that bill. Yeah. So, So I, part of the job might not be, maybe I can't get rid of the bill, but maybe I can make it less bad. So you have certain goals, you just
the eviction,
work with what you can.
The lack of eviction and people staying when really, it was overdone. It was like the government was saying, okay, we're going to use you to finance this instead of us. It was a weird time, but at least we're through that. And it looks like we come out the other side pretty well, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank goodness we're all past that.
All right, so we'll finish with this question because I think this is a really hot one right now, Katie. The market obviously has made a little switch. So with all the things that you see, both government and being aboard with the board and the state level and so forth, and you have your finger on the pulse every day running that office over there, plus your own. What do you think? What do you see right now? What's happening with the market?
Well, I think we do see a leveling off on the market. But again, I think you have to look at the different segments of the market. We still, I would say, over 1 million or maybe over 1.5 million. We still have, in the luxury sales, we still have people with cash. They're not affected by interest rates so much. Right. And so they are coming with all cash and they're still buying. And we all know we still have a lot of Californians that are cashing out on their homes there. The market's good and they're coming here and they can buy a magnificent house for less. Still can in our market here. But where we start to see, you're right, I still do. I was out personally this weekend showing homes to some investors, and we were looking at a price point of $400,000 to $500,000. Now they can pay cash, but they're looking at using a loan just to leverage their money. But my point in that price point of $400,000 to $500,000 in the Summerlin area, they had been on the home. Some of them had been on the market for a few days, some over a week or two. none of them had offers on them.
Right.
So if we go back 2 months, they all would have had offers on them in 2 days, multiple offers. So I found that to be very telling. And it is good that I am out there because, that I still have my finger on it, because it does keep you in touch with the market. And so that was very interesting. And that's where I think we see the most softening will be under the $1 million mark, because many of those homes people still get a loan for.
Right.
And with interest rates, I had another gentleman that was looking for a home in the Summerlin area for around $900,000. With the increase in interest rates, his monthly payment was going to get too high. So now he's looking for a home in the $700,000 price range.
Right.
So it is impacting. And we have to be aware of that. And I think we have to talk to our sellers. I've talked to some of my sellers that, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. If you are too aggressive with your pricing, you're gonna miss the mark. And I've been around. I got my license in 1990. I was still a CPA at the time, but I've had my license for many years, and I've gone through a few of these cycles. And so, you cannot sustain 24% increase, 30% increase every year. It's unsustainable. I don't think we'll have a large crash like we did a decade ago, because there were too many government regulations that were factors in that crash too, as far as the lending environment and everything. Right. So, but I do see, people have equity in their homes now. They're not going to walk away from it. And people have been required to have more skin in the game when they get a loan. So all of those factors have changed. But I do think, particularly in those price points, we're going to see a little leveling off. And that's okay. It was too
good,
high.
actually, yeah.
That's sustainable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good, actually. So we'll probably finish this year in double-digit appreciation for, I think, would be the 4th year in a row. But after that, it might be 3 to 5, 7 maybe. I mean, that would be okay.
Remember, we always used to say 3% appreciation a year. That was the kind of the rule we used. Especially
in Vegas, it was always between 3 and 5 for years.
Yeah. So it's just, people forget that. And I think, I guess I'm a old timer. I've gone through those markets.
They also forget too, like, remember, and both of us work with agents that have been in the business for less than 5 years. And a lot of them think that this is a crash coming, because I'm like, no. It's because ever since you've been in the real estate business, it's been incredible. You can't compare. You can't go, okay, but last year we were ahead of this year. Last year was the best year in the history ever of real estate, especially Las Vegas.
And during COVID, it's just crazy.
Yeah. And the year before was the second best year. And then it probably went back to like 2006, but it's the numbers are incredible. And Forrest always puts out incredible numbers too. So everybody should check that out.
His reports are so great.
Yeah. They're like really analytical, which is great. All right. Any final words you want to leave these lovely people, Haiti?
Well, real estate is an incredible profession. I've earned far more as a real estate agent than I did as a professional CPA. And so, with real estate, there is no glass ceiling, which I love about it. Anybody can excel. I have so many successful people in my office of all colors, shapes, sizes, and accents. It doesn't matter. But what matters is your work ethic.
Right.
It is what you're willing to put into this. And I worked incredibly hard. When I first came to Las Vegas, I didn't know a soul. And I became very successful, but I got to tell you, I just outworked everybody, And so if you're willing to be trained and work hard, you can be very successful.
So true, so true. And I bet you Peter's probably wondering, am I ever going to get her to slow down? I think he knows the answer, though.
I know. He said, I'm going to tie your hand behind your back, because every time somebody wants you to run or do something, you raise your hand. He goes, I'm tying your hands behind your back.
Good for him. Good for him. Well, he's great. He's a joy, too. And I see him at events and so forth, too. Well, Haiti, I just want to say thank you very much for taking out a half an hour of your time this morning. I know how busy you are. This was awesome. And I'm sure people got a lot out of it. So thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See ya.